and hang out, you're like in a mini Parker seminar, intense. Because you know, everything I've ever learned is there, and some of the stuff, 10% of what you see in my practice is customized by me. I feel like I invented it, okay? But 90% of it was what I learned from 100 to 150 doctors I've been to Parker seminars over 150 times. You know, we were talking about GTOs, which means you go to 7 in a row, or at least it used to be. I don't know, do we change it yet? Where it's less than, is it 4 in a row now? But I got 16 GTOs doing 7 in a row, okay? I don't have a GTO yet doing 4 in a row. I'm sure that will happen soon. But what I learned at Parker seminars, and we started, and you guys would appreciate this because I feel like I'm talking to the group that's very similar to what we formed. The doctors, we would go hang with them on Thursday nights and talk to them in their practices. They would get together on Thursday nights and mastermind. And there were certain things they kept telling us we needed to do. And so one of them was form a group of like-minded people. And our group was called Positive Image and Success Society, because we always kind of like to be funny. Positive Image and Success Society. Just put those letters out. We had caps, you know, that had initials on them. And something I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to start dressing like doctors at a unified time. Not all the time. You know, I know you're running and blowing and going. The heat, you know, the day was 102 degrees in Sherman. I don't know what it was here. But have a planned time that all of you as a unit dress like doctors. You got to start thinking like doctors. How many here are like over Tri-5? Raise your hand if you're Tri-5 and up. Okay. I don't care if you Tri-1. I don't care if you're Tri-9. You need to start thinking like a doctor. And when you walk into a party and everybody's in a tux and you're wearing t-shirt and jeans, how do you feel? You don't feel good. But if you walk into a party and you're in a tux and everybody else is in a suit and tie, typically you feel pretty good. If you're the only one in a tux and everybody else is in jeans and t-shirt, that isn't usually quite work. Apparently you didn't get the memo. So I want you to start thinking about it. So what I did is as junior intern, y'all would appreciate this story. We made our first trip, our group, Positive Image Success Society, all loaded up in about 3 or 4 cars, loaded up ice chest full of beer and bologna, headed up the highway, Interstate 45 from Pasadena, Texas to downtown Dallas, Texas at the Hilton. And I can remember to this day, we had the most expensive suite in the hotel. It was and this is 1978. We were junior interns. Back then, we were junior seniors, you know. And we pulled up to the downtown Dallas Hilton, all of us in our one and only suits, walked in, got the most expensive suite in the hotel, and it was $220 a night in 1978 or 77, somewhere along in there. But when you have 22 of you can afford it. We took our stuff up there, we took our ice chest full of beer and bologna, and our goal was to go downstairs, attend class, and find doctors that were seeing around 100 a day, because that was a big deal back then, 100 a day. There was quite a number of doctors doing it. There wasn't hardly anybody back in those days doing 1,000 a week and things like that, but there are some great guys doing that now. So I attended my first Parker seminar, and I came to this mindset that I got to get up to 100 a day, and I want to speak here. Well, in 1982, I had my first 100 patient day, and then about a year later, I guess it was 82, 81 and a half, had my first 100 patient day, and then about 82, realized I opened September 8th, 1980. And by 82, I was seeing 100 a day on a full day. And then I kept all my stats, which Jim Parker was big on stats. I sent him this gorgeous looking book that used to be in the museum. I don't think it's around anymore. Took pictures. I had a new thing that I built from the ground, kind of a temperature sign out front, a lot of Dallas Cowboys memorabilia in there and all that stuff, because I grew up across the street from Texas Stadium. Sent him this with a letter saying that I thought I would be speaking, because I had been seeing 100 a day for 3 years and had all these stats, and I did it all through Parker seminars. Well, he sent me a nice letter and said, no, thank you. Well, basically, he knew it was all about me. And it was true. It wasn't about you. It was about me. I had my thumbs in my suspenders. So he invited me to be a one-on-one mentor. So I just started mentoring one-on-one, and as it turned out, about 6 months later, I had a speaker that had an emergency and couldn't show, and asked me if I could speak on it, and I did. And I've started speaking ever since 1985. And so I don't know how many times I've spoke, probably over 100 seminars. I've been to over 150 seminars. So here I am today. I did average over 100 days for 30 years. I've been in practice 34 years. I made a conscious decision 4 years ago to change things up to where I don't have to work as hard, but make as much money. So I probably only average 50, 60 a day now. But I make just as much money as I did when I was seeing 100 a day. That's a whole different story. So Mark Mendel contacts me Thursday and said, we need somebody to come down and do this thing on Tuesday. Can you do it? So I arranged some things. It only takes me about an hour and 15 minutes to drive here because I can drive 70 and 80 all the way here. So I get to that light over there. And so I made arrangements to do that. So I was thinking about what can I do in 30, 40 minutes to change you guys' lives. So I came up with this. I got a whole bunch of slides. I got hours and hours and hours and hours of information. So I came up with this title. What the hell do I need to know?
Cue the pens.
So what I'm going to do is summarize the 21 things that I wrote and put together that are now known basically as the Parker Success Principles. And basically what was happening, I was going to all these different speakers. Back in those days, it was Larry Markson and Sherry Ward and Kirby Landis and David Singer. And all of these guys were coming to Parker, didn't have their own thing going. And they would talk about something that was real important to them, but there was no real order. So after several years of listening and learning, I like to have order. You show me an order and show me how to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. So I put together this list of things, and I'm going to present it to you. We'll talk about it to where you can learn a little bit about it, but I just want you to know this is what you guys got to master, hopefully by the time you get out, so you can be successful within 6 months of getting out. I don't care what anybody tells you, you can be successful in practice definitely within 30 days to 6 months if you know these things and you master them. And the best place to master them is hanging around people like me or going to Parker seminars on a regular basis. You don't have to go anywhere else. Is there other good stuff out there? Absolutely. But where did most of it start? Right at Parker seminars back in the early 1950s. So, let's see. There we go. This is too far away. So number one, principal consultation, including pre-frame subluxation. I, after years of practice, wrote this thing called pre-framing subluxation, and it's been modified many times. And when you pre-frame subluxation during your consultation, especially when you use a little blinking green and red light thing that you can buy, I think you still buy 2 shares. You can hold the button down and it's green, and then you turn it, it turns red. And if you use that in your pre-framing subluxation, you'll see the light go on in the patient's eyes, and they go, okay, now I understand why I'm here, why you're different than the orthopedic surgeon that I just went and saw. And if you have time, I'll actually pre-frame subluxation for you. You gotta always do a thorough exam, but you gotta do it 10 to 15 minutes. We do 75 orthopedic neurological physical tests, but we do it in 10, 15 minutes. You can't be doing this hour-and-a-half long exam that they teach you over here in the clinic. You cannot succeed doing that. You have to do it here, to make everybody happy, but orthopedic surgeons, all they do is take in a hammer and a pinwheel and charge $500 to tap on a knee and run a pinwheel. And that's their exam. And sometimes you read the report and they did hammer and pinwheel, and you ask the patient, they said, man, they never tapped me with a hammer or ran a pinwheel on me. And they still charge $500 for the exam. They put it in the report on a PI case. Always x-ray new patients. I'm supposed to just hit the button once. Always x-ray new patients. Our gig is spinal decay. Our gig is spinal degeneration. A very healthy spine has less spiral decay. You have to demonstrate that and you have to show that. And when you do a good report of findings, you're actually teaching the patient how to look at their x-rays. And then when you take them as a group, and then you take them in a private room, show them the x-rays, you have them tell you what's wrong with their x-rays. That's a lot more powerful. Do not adjust on the first visit. Some of you, this is going to drive you crazy. There's a lot of chiropractors today that still drive me crazy. You cannot establish value when you do no tests and adjust on the first visit, or you do a lot of tests when you adjust on the first visit. You can do therapy, you can do heat, ice, whatever, which we call first aid therapy, but do not adjust. If it's important to adjust on day one, you invite them back in the afternoon and get started that afternoon on it. In fact, I couldn't tell you how many cases that I have closed that they came in the morning, had them come back that afternoon just because I had time, because we block out an hour to do reports, and did their report that afternoon, and then close into a prepaid case for 6 months of care. Do not adjust on the first visit. You have to establish value. Just hitting this once. I don't know about that. Do a written report of findings on new patients. You have to give them something in their hands to walk out the door and argue with Aunt Fanny about. Aunt Fanny is always going to say, "What are you going to that chiropractor for? You should have gone to an orthopedic surgeon." Included in this written report is pictures of their x-rays. You can use actually the pictures turn out really good with an iPad, but you can use your iPad and take pictures of the x-rays with the U-box on and the light out, and then print them up and put them in your report, because you taught them how to look at their x-rays, and they go home, and Aunt Fanny goes, "No, you should have gone to my orthopedic surgeon. I don't know you, a chiropractor." And then they get their report out, and they're showing them their x-rays and their nerve scan, and they understand how to explain to Aunt Fanny. Well, Aunt Fanny goes, "Well, I want to go there and get checked, because you told Aunt Fanny during the report, one of the closing statements is, we'll check your family at our expense." Our family referrals went up 300% when we started including x-rays in their report of findings, the pictures of them. And we had already been offering, we'll check your family at our expense. Conduct weekly spinal care workshops. Now, this is actually modified. You can do weekly spinal care workshops within your office, which is what I was taught in 1978. But nowadays, I do dinner workshops bi-weekly, and they're a lot more fun. This is such a powerful tool, especially the dinner workshops. Last year, I spent $10,000 on dinners, and first generation direct to my practice, it brought in $150,000. We're not even talking about the people they referred, it's just them. So how many of you in here would give me $10 so I can give you $150 back? How many times would you do that? So I don't get it why people will not do dinner workshops. This crap of, I'm intimidated, I'm scared, what if this happens, what if that happens? Just do it. Is it a pain in the butt? Somewhat. What's it like when only 5 or 3 or whatever show up? Not as much fun. But I did a dinner workshop, my staff was there, and 2 people were there. One was a patient, the other one was his spouse that wasn't a patient yet. He prepaid for her to come out as a patient, so it still was worth it. Very worth it. Plus, your patients that come to these are more likely to stay with you longer. They're getting a lot of information, additional information, and the presentation is only 28 minutes long. Okay? Set up multiple appointments. Always set up a minimum of 10 to 12 appointments or more. We set up 26 at a time. Why do we set up 26 at a time? Because that's how many fit on our travel card. This side holds 26, you flip it over, the other side holds 26. Now a lot of people go, well, what about the new EHR and Obamacare and all that? We still use that card, but then we take that information, and when we catch up with patients, we put it in an iPad, and we're using ChiroTouch. But it's real easy for us to see 10 patients in 20 minutes, let the card stack up. Now we caught up a little bit, and we step over there to the podium in the corner. You gotta realize I've been working out in the same clinic for 34 years. You know, so there's some things I have, some things I don't have. So the iPad's on the podium, it's like a preacher's podium. Stand over there, take the travel cards and look and go, okay, she was here, and we mark, we can mark, because I've been using these cards, I made these cards up in '88, and I can see the SOAP, and then I can punch it into the iPad, and this card took 10 seconds to 15 seconds. The iPad takes about 30 seconds to a minute to go through there and do what you gotta do. But your multiple appointments, no excuses, you just do it. If you don't make multiple appointments, what do? They schedule their life around you. No, other way around. Other way around. You want them scheduling their life around you. So when you tell them, we're going to schedule your appointments Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 o'clock, and if you ever need to change one, let us know. If you ever need to change a week, let us know. We can fix it. Well, then they start knowing and getting, I don't schedule anything at 9, 9:30, or 10 anywhere else on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Does that make sense? I've had wimps tell me you can't do this in your town, but it's a lie. I've been teaching this, for 30 years. It can be done in any town, anywhere, any country. There's no excuses. And your life will be so much simpler. Here's what you want to do, guys. You want people to come in, do therapy if you want, get adjusted, leave. They don't have to pay, and they don't have to make an appointment. Because the money's already taken care of, and the appointments are already taken care of. That way you don't need as many employees. If you want to do like Taco Bell, and I have to have somebody standing at the register all day, that is a waste of labor. Because all they're doing is making appointments every single time and collecting money every single time. Does that make sense? Keep complete and detailed practice stats. You got to know whether your practice is going up or down. It's either thriving or dying. If it's plateauing, it's fixing to thrive or die. You got to look at your stats, know what's going on, to know what do you got to do. These are the basic 10, by the way, we're going through. Then we'll get into the extra 11. Always call new patients. No exceptions. Set your phone on an alarm to go off. Now the way the alarms are on your phones, you can pick a day. I want the alarm to always go. I had to go off at 6:25. I only go in the office now Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Most of the time, I only go in Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We have a younger doctor there. He's been there 3 years now. Parker graduate. He's trained with me. He knows his stuff. So on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 6:25, my alarm goes off, reminding me I've got to call new patients, which I have a card in my pocket that I pull out and I go call them. And I call them from the office phone. There's two different ways you have to handle it. I call them from line 1. I make sure I call them from line 1 because anybody that calls line 1 and we're closed, it forwards to a cell phone. And we get out, and there's just you and one employee, somebody's got to be taking all phone calls. No recorder. Forward to a cell phone. Prefer it to be a staff member. You should, in my opinion, you should never open without an employee. I know a lot of people do without it, but they start out slow, they stay slow, and they can't hardly grow. They get stuck, but they just can't get out of it. They're always making excuses. Well, if I hire one, well, then I can't do this. But if, and it's going to cost me that, and da-da-da-da-da. But if you start out with a part-time employee at least, and tell her or him that we'll give you more hours as we get busier, well, then you're ready for growth. And patients don't want to refer to doctors that don't have time. When you're having to work with a patient, you go, wait a minute, the phone's ringing, I'll be right with you. Maybe right in the middle of adjusting, right in the middle of therapy. Wait a minute, I got to get that phone. They love you, but they don't want to refer to you because they can't get in and out in a decent amount of time. Which you have to get people in and out of your office, in the front door and back out in less than 30 minutes. When you're routinely taking longer than 30 minutes, your practice is going to shrink. That's very important. You have to get them in the front door and back out in 30 minutes. We have people sign in and we have people sign out. And the sign out is for a couple of reasons. Sign out is so they have to pause long enough to where we can catch them if we need them for something. Because remember, their appointments are laid out. Typically their money's laid out. Payments are set up or they prepay. And so when they sign out, they're having to stop for a few seconds where somebody can go, wait a minute, Jim, I need to tell you something, or I need to get this, or your credit card information changed on us, we need different credit card information, whatever. But also I can look at the sign-out sheet and we mark every hour. This is something else you need to learn. When somebody signs in, you immediately get their stuff ready to go down the hall and you write on the sheet. Remember this, because this will save you a lot of misery. You write a number 7, and then you write the time. So if I did that right now, it would be 7, 1, 2, 5, 4, 4. No, 5, 4, sorry. So it's 12:54 with a 7 in front of it. And it's written right there on the cover sheet. So when you're bragging that you're getting people in and out in 30 minutes, which usually is not true, and your staff is saying it's taking you 45 minutes to an hour to get people in and out, you can look at the time on that sheet. Nobody else knows it's the time, and you can know how you're really doing, getting people in and out. And when I started doing that 30 years ago, I found out they were right and I was wrong. Because back in those days, I was seeing over 100 a day, but I was doing it in private rooms, not in an open adjusting room. And we were doing therapy in that room, we were doing a genie rub in that room, and we were adjusting. And I was running up and down the hall, had 4 different adjusting rooms, and I'm going bam, bam, and down. Oh, sometimes I had to go back to 1, I'm going to go back to 4. Oh, now I've got to go to 2 and 3. And so when I switch it all over to an open adjusting room, it's a lot more efficient. I don't have to work near as many hours, I don't work near as hard. But my staff, when the doors were closed, were saying, hey, it's taking some of these people 45 minutes to an hour to get out of here. And I go, oh, no, it can't be. When I started putting the times, 7 in front of the time on the receipts, I realized that they were right and I was wrong. So you can glance at that to see how you're doing. That same time is on the sign-out sheet every hour on the hour. We set an alarm. It goes off. And like when we're done at 12 noon, or supposed to be done at 12 noon, they'll go in and write the time, 7, 12, 00, dot, and then how many patients we saw in that hour will be written after the time. So I can go look at that sign-out sheet and see how many people did we see from 11 to 12. So I know how we're running and how we're doing. Does everybody understand that? Does that make sense? A lot of this stuff will save you a lot of misery. A lot of you right now will think it's kind of a BS thing, but I'm telling you, a lot of these little things add up and make a difference. When you call new patients, a lot of you will have fear about that. Don't ask them how they're doing. A lot of you go, I really don't want to call and ask them how they're doing. Don't ever ask them how they're doing. You call and say, I called to see if you had any questions about your report of findings today in your first adjustment. That's all you say. Most of the time they say, no, your report was really thorough, pretty simple, I understand. I don't have any questions. And then you make sure they understand, well, if you call the number I'm calling you on right now, 903-893-7733, remember it for us to a cell phone, which I told them during their private report when I give them a card. You do have the option to give them your cell phone. That's okay. I just prefer not to do that. After being there for 30-something years, I've had 14,000 different new patients. I just really don't want everybody to have my cell phone. But I pay for the cell phone that a staff member carries. I cover the bill. It's their personal phone, but also the clinic phone. Routinely re-exam, re-x-ray, and do a written report of findings. This is where a lot of people fall off the wagon. You've got to do some type of follow-up report every 12 to 26 visits. We do it at visit 12 when they first start, but then it's every 26 visits after that. When you do all 10 of these, in your practice, you're typically going to have a PVA of over 30. Can somebody explain to me what a PVA of over 30 means? Anybody in this room?
Is that how many times they come and see you?
It is patient visit average. And how do you figure that up?
How many times the patient comes to see?
You take the amount of people you see in a week or a month, divide that by the number of new ones, and that's your PVA. That's how long an average patient stays with you. Basically, that means how much you taught the patient to where they stay with you. The average PVA in this country, because a lot of doctors don't do this stuff, most doctors only do 3 or 4 of these. I don't care if they just graduated or been out 15 years. Most doctors only do 3 or 4 of these. And it's usually, they don't pre-frame, but they'll do an exam. A whole lot of people are not taking x-rays anymore. There's a whole lot of report findings that are lay down and let's adjust you and see how you do. There's a whole lot of that going on around the country. It's really hurting our profession. I'm going to tell y'all right now, we've got 17 minutes. I'm going to tell you guys right now, what's hurting this profession is what's happening to the orthodontists in our town. There's an orthodontist down the street from me that says that he can straighten your teeth in 4 weeks for $1,000. Is that believable? No. Guess what? It's a lie. I just lied. That's what's happening in chiropractic. We got people that are saying, I don't care what that Dr. Wren said. He recommended these visits and a couple of years of care, get your spine back as good a shape as possible. You come to me, you can just pay $30 a visit each time. I'll work on you 10, 12 times and you'll be fine. But well, you know what the truth is? Most chiropractors, I don't care what they say comes out of their mouth, most chiropractors get adjusted their whole entire life. But they don't recommend it to their patients, they don't teach it to their patients. And you know why they do that? Because a lot of chiropractors believe they get adjusted for free. I get adjusted for free. I can't tell somebody to pay me $3,000 or $4,000 for 6 months of care. I pay $4,000 for 3 teeth. I just can't do that because I get it for free. Well, let me tell you this. The average student today, best of my knowledge, owes anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 when they graduate. So that means the average student is paying $175,000 in advance to get adjusted for free the rest of their life. And how many of you would accept the first day you graduate $150,000 from any one patient prepaid to take care of for the rest of their life? Raise your hand if you'd accept that. Yeah. So get this crap out of your head that, well, I get it for free. No, you do not. So that's killing our profession. The chiropractors think they get adjusted for free, and they know insurance only pays 10 to 20 visits. They don't want to go through all this work. I do this for the patient. This is not for me. This is for their welfare. This is for the opportunity for them to have lifetime chiropractic. Do all my patients do lifetime chiropractic? No. About 1/4 of them do what we do. We recommend is relief care. We show them corrective care, but then here's a relief care plan. And it's always about time and money. We tell them. We make sure they're comfortable and understand. We're not going to be mad at them. Now there are some mentors out there that say don't accept them unless they come for life. You can go that route if you want. I don't believe in that. I let them know I love them no matter what. I let them know that I'm trying to change their mindset about drugs and surgery. I'm trying to change your mindset about you're in control of your health. This is one of the ways you can do it. But, if you've got time and money issues and you can't do it, I'm okay with that. It's all right. All right, so let's get in the extra 11. The advanced success principles. Got to do weekly staff meetings and trainings. We do staff meetings on Monday and we do trainings on Wednesday. You got to always ask for referrals. The only thing that's directly proportional to the number of new patients you get, listen to this, this is going to make you thousands and thousands of dollars. help pay back all this money you owe. The only thing that is directly proportional to the number of new patients you're going to get, the only thing that's directly proportional to the number of new patients you're going to get is what? That's it. TV advertising, which I've done for 30 years, is indirectly proportional. Phone book, which I've done for 30 years, which now is almost in the trash, is indirectly proportional. Internet is indirectly proportional. They benefit, but they're indirectly proportional. The only thing that is directly proportional is how often you ask. So how often should you ask?
Every time.
Every day. Every day, very often. Ever visit? Maybe not. Ever visit at first wouldn't hurt, because it's good practice for you. But we have planned times that we teach on when you should ask for referrals. And the ideal time is every report. New patient reports and follow-up reports. We have a planned time, little cards to remind me to give them to the patient, ask them to give them to another patient, and explain to them what spinal decay is. This is what it looks like on the back of the card. Da, 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 no. Always use chiropractic table talk. The more you talk about sports, the more you talk about weather, the more you talk about divorce, all that other stuff, the less busy you're going to be. The more you talk about chiropractic, subluxation, spinal decay, nerves, where they go, that kind of stuff, the busier you're going to be. I tried talking 100% table talk for 1 year. I hated it. Practice did not go up. So I went back to the way I normally do things. But I still can talk personal, talk chiropractic, and be done with my adjustment in 2 to 3 minutes. Remember, your adjustment should take with your patients how long it takes you to adjust your family at your home. And most of you adjust your family in 1, 2, or 3 minutes because you don't want to do it. My sons are all grown now, and it agitates me when they want me to adjust them at home when I've been open all week. I don't like it. Plus, I don't have my hat on. I don't have my chiropractic hat on. I'm not in the zone. I'll do it, but I don't like it. Always cluster book appointments. This is going to be something very valuable. I'm going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. When you first get out, don't be in the office too many hours, and make sure the phone is forward to a cell phone. Get out in the community. When you stay there way too many hours when you first open, and you're locked up in there, you're going to go crazy, and you're not going to be able to see enough people in the amount of time you're there, and you're going to go crazy. So I would recommend that you see patients, schedule patients to get adjusted the first hour or 2 in the morning, and the last hour or 2 in the evening, and leave the middle of the day to go out and meet people in the community and hand out cards, at least the first month or 2 or whatever. And forward the phone and cell phone. Now, if you're out at 10 o'clock in the morning and somebody calls and they want to be a new one, we'll schedule them that morning and go right back and meet them. But sitting around for hours and seeing 1 or 2 people is going to drive you crazy. I don't like seeing any less than 20 in an hour. Anything less than 20 in an hour is just like boring. Yes, sir?
Was your practice really busy? What times do you see patients? What times do you not?
Your busiest time of the day is when you unlock the door and when you lock the door. Okay? So in the morning, it's going to be, like 8:30 to 9:30, 11 to 12. And then we take a 3-hour break. We start seeing patients again at 3. You've got to take at least a 2-hour break or a 3-hour break. We did 2 hours for a long time. 3 hours was a lot better. We start seeing patients again at 3. They start getting there at 2:30. We have TVs going and stuff, so they're entertained. We start at 3 o'clock sharp. And then we block out from 4 to 5 to do reports. And then we're real busy from 5 to 6. So you're always the busiest when you unlock the door. And then you're busy when you lock the door. And that's, morning and evening. Okay? But cluster book your appointments. Open 6 days a week. Clustering for the first year or 2. Then after that, start cutting back a half a day here and there. So you can have some personal time. Start having fun. Always stay on time. Do me a favor, don't be late to your funeral. A lot of you are late to everything. Don't matter. Start being on time for everything. Be known as somebody that's always on time. Be known as somebody that's dependable, on time. Everything in your life, not just in your practice. Use precision adjusting with high energy. The value in your adjustment is your knowledge, not what you physically do. The value in what you do is your knowledge, not what you physically do. Get that? So, when you're trying to move every bone they got, hands, feet, knees, coccyx, on and on and on, you won't get as good results. When you move 1, 2, or 3 bones at very specific areas with very special intent, with a lot of high energy going from you to them, you're going to get better results. When we went to Panama in 1997 on the first chiropractic mission in Panama, it was the first one that Jim Sigafus put on in 1997, God rest his soul, which Mark, I am going to that this Friday. It's a celebration of life. He died at 81 years of age a few weeks ago. Good friend of mine, good mentor, same age as mine. Well, born the same year as my dad. My dad died in 99. But when we went down to Panama, a lot of us were trying to adjust several areas. And there was this one guy that was moving all 24 bones of the spine and every extremity bone they had. And I mean, we were showing up in these little towns, and all like where I was working, we were working under a carport and wearing t-shirts that say chiropractic and shorts and boots. And the line would be over the horizon. And so we started out, me trying to move, a couple of cervical, a couple thoracic, a couple lumbars, and then just within a day or two, we all figured out as a team, there was 19 of us down there, we figured out as a team we had to start just adjusting C1 and C2 only, and we started doing it where they were all sitting. And as a result, the Minister of Health had nurses at every station and kept record of every person and their Social Security number and everything, the equivalent of their Social Security number. And the 19 of us adjusted 46,000 people in 6 days. But this one guy kept insisting on moving every bone they had. And on the last day, we're all together in this small Astrodome Arena looking thing. And it was small. It probably only held 5,000 or 6,000, but it had a dome. There was no air conditioning in it. It just had a hole at each end, let air blow through and all that. But because the line was over the horizon coming in that dome, and they were filling up the seats and then coming down, and each one of us had 10 chairs, and we would adjust them, C1 and C2, with our hands sitting and work our way down like a typewriter. We'd go this way. A lot of you guys don't know what a typewriter is. You go down here, and then you just would work your way back to save time. And we're going back and forth, and all of a sudden we realized we had no people to work on anymore. Well, we look, and everybody's waiting to go to this guy who's using a table that's moving 24 bones in all extremities. But he had no miracles in 6 days. Zip. So we just all went over there and just stood there and stared at him for a while. A whole group of 19 of us just standing around him. And we'd already told him to stop it, a couple of days before. He looks up at us and said, "What?" I said, "Everybody wants everything moved. Nobody will sit in our chairs anymore because they think they're getting more if they stand for you. You're going to have to stop it." "Well, I can't stop this. This is what I do." He said, "Well, you're going to stop it." And Jim Sigafus said, he was the one in control. He said, "You're going to stop it or we're going to whoop your ass." And he was 81 years old when he died, and that was in 97, so you can imagine. So he quit and went and sat down, and then everybody started getting in line and doing what we're doing. But see, he's moving everything, had no miracles. The rest of us had people get up and walk out of wheelchairs. I had a baby that hadn't moved or said anything since her immunization right after birth. And down there, they know that they may never see babies again, so they inject them full of vaccination. And a lot of them get deformed and jacked up and all that. And that baby's been like this. And I worked on her at like 3 years of age, and she just started moving and let out a groan, scream. And her mother started crying. It's the first time she'd seen her move or make any noise. No sense in that. So move less, Move around. I mean, if you want to move everything, you can move around. Hey, I want to do a little work over here today. I want to do a little work here, but don't move everything. And plus, remember, variety is the spice of life. We were just talking about how you get tired of a restaurant, eating the same thing over and over and over. Chiropractic practice the same way. Variety is the spice of life. Set daily, weekly, monthly, lifetime goals. How many of you like to have $10 million in the bank in 10 years? Are you in on that? Okay, well do me a favor. Figure out how much money you got to save per day. Not yearly. How much you got to save per day now, per hour, to be able to get $10 million in 10 years. All your goals got to be broke down. Practice staff motivation and use staff incentive. All my staff gets an hourly wage, which is average, but they get everything paid based on what we perform, the number of doings we have, how many prepays we have, all that. They can make an extra $400 or $500 in a week based on how the office performs. I want them to feel like it's our practice, not just theirs. We got 21. No, yeah, 21. So we're almost done. Have consistent promotional activities. In December, we know the whole program for next year. We already know when the parties are going to be. We try to have a party every month or 2 months. You know, what is today? Today's August. So our next party will be back to school. Then we'll have a Halloween costume contest. Then we'll have a Thanksgiving party where we collect food all month. We'll have a Christmas party, which is tied to our Dinner with Doc thing. We invite everybody to come to that. And we have a special presentation and the little dwarfs and all that kind of stuff. But they walk in some days and there's just decorations, there's food everywhere and all that stuff. And we let them know it's coming and come in for an extra visit just for health of it on that day. Always look, dress, and act successful. I was talking to you guys about this earlier. Y'all get together as a team. You've got a good core group starting here. Get together as a team and pick out a good time for all of you to get dressed up and be on campus, but then go somewhere and show up as a dressed up team to where the people that work there want to know what you do and what you are, and be proud to be a chiropractor, be proud to be a chiropractic student, be proud to be an intern, hand them cards, talk to them a little bit what chiropractic is, that kind of stuff. Start having that mindset. Practice profitability and invest wisely. You want to be in practice 5 years, no more than 10 years. Listen to me. I'm going to save you a lot of misery. You want to be in practice 5 years or 10 years at the most and be out of debt, and you don't have to go to work. You go to the office for the love of it, not because you have to. And I'm not gonna BS you. I haven't been that good at it. I grew up on the poor side of town, so I had some things in my head. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I had to write IRS a check for $135,000 a few years ago. Kind of set me back. But I was in the mindset to try to work on getting, out of debt and getting to where things are paid off. And that's like the third time that I've had to get the IRS a further large sum of money. Not that big. That's the biggest I've had to do. I pay for Obama's one trip to play golf. So that is the 21. I'm supposed to be done, so I'm going to tell you one last thing. First of all, let me tell you that I'm very proud to be here. It doesn't bother me that there's only 10 or 20 people in here. I know how it works. I told Jason, if 3 show up, I'm good. I said, I know you're going to show up, so I'm okay. I met Jason downstairs. I'm very proud to be here. I know at least one of you in here, I changed your life. I know without a shadow of a doubt because I've done it, for over 30 years. I live 75 miles from here. I can be here an hour and 15 minutes. Tuesdays are fairly easy for me. I'd be willing to come down once a month and start breaking these down for you and teach them to you where you can master them. It's up to y'all. But I want people in here, and I want people that are committed. I don't want you BSing me, and I won't BS you. You're welcome to come to my office. Oh, I forgot I made another slide. You're welcome to come come to my office. All you gotta do is call and schedule an appointment. I would encourage you to come see this stuff in action, so you can start visualizing how you want your practice to be. I don't care what technique you want to do. I don't care whether you do therapy or you don't. But all these basic rules apply to every technique. There are people that have charisma that don't have to play by these rules because they got charisma. I get that. But most of us don't have charisma. So you have to play by these rules, and then over time you develop charisma. When I used to walk into a room, years ago, I was a little nervous about handing out my card. Now I run out of cards because people are coming asking me for cards. I don't go around looking for cards, but if somebody starts talking to me about a problem, I'll say, here's my card. Sometimes I'll get my phone out and make an appointment. Or it's a cell phone, so I'll have them talk to Jerry Lynn, who answers the phone. This link is temporary. My Society of Chiropractic Masters website, which we developed the Society of Chiropractic Masters in 1993, and I used to drive an hour down to Dallas every Monday for 20 years. I put all those videos and everything on the website, and it's still a dues-paying membership. It's $49 a month. The website got eaten by a big old virus. I can't even imagine what this thing looked like, but it ate the whole freaking website. So we're rebuilding it. You can't even join right now. But for those out there that want good information, we developed this link, which is secret. Nobody knows it, except for y'all know it now. And you don't have to pay anything, and there's a lot of good basic information that you can learn in 1 hour on all the things we were talking about. And you can access it until it tells you can't anymore. So it'll be up and running, dues paying in about 30 days probably. So I would encourage you to write that down. It's very important that you have N, capital N, and capital L, and you have to have that slash at the end. Very important. This is okay. You can do anything you want. SOCM1895.com, but you got to have capital N and capital L. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Really quick.